And so we meet again. Hello and welcome. I haven't posted in a while. I have been doing a lot of other stuff, so I have been kind of busy. So let me introduce you to my latest rescue. This little girl's name is Wanda. We have a bit of a problem, but before we go to the problem, I wanted to talk a little bit about her backstory. Wanda was in a loving home. Her human mom was a lady who actually bred Rex cats, if you know what those are. I need to get caffeinated. I can feel the buzz already. And the lady was actually a cancer survivor. Due to this, she had limited mobility. She has lost one of her legs due to amputation. She was overall just a wonderful, wonderful person. As far as I could tell, she truly cares about her animals. So there was no question that it wouldn't have been a loving home. So you see, her passions were the breeding Rex cats. One day, she really fell head over heels love with ball pythons. So she bought 2 of them. Wanda was one of them. She was super in love with these cats, and sadly so were the cats. And you know, before long, one of the cats realized that in the glass terrarium there was something alive there, and they decided to put that thing in the past tense. These constant attacks from this cat made the pythons feel really insecure and really stressed out, and the first things they do is to stop eating. And you can see that's kind of problematic when you have a baby animal that needs to grow and needs to be doing these things, you know. So the snakes stopped eating, and then they were rehomed, and that's how I got her. Wanda is a 2019 born python reduce, also known as a ball python. And the name ball python actually is widely thought to come from the pattern that the wild type have, but it actually comes from
this kind of hiding mechanism.
Well, yeah, it's a scaring mechanism. Scaring as in the snake is afraid, and not scaring as in they are trying to scare someone.
And like all of my animals, she's named after a musical, except for Mara. Mara is named after Eminem. Her name comes from 1990 classic musical Cry Baby, after the character Wanda. So the first thing you notice when you see Wanda is how thin she is. She's really underweight. That's not a good thing. Big indicators to a snake, whether they are underweight, is the triangle on their backs. And that is the spine. You shouldn't see that. It's not a good thing. The good thing is that she still can kind of move around and stuff. Wanda was about this thin when she first came to me. For about maybe a year, she was eating quite good. She started off with really small portions because I wanted her to kind of take it easy at first, and I was kind of testing if she even would eat. Actually, when I adopted her, I let her settle in her cage for about a week, and I tried eating her, and I tried feeding her, and the first thing she did, she ate a mouse, and that was a really good thing. And then became the downfall. But before we go into the actual problems Wanda is having, I think it's important to actually know a bit more about the whole species. So I think I'm gonna go and do that now. As you can see, here is my Frankie boy in all of his glory. Okay, let's see if we can keep him still enough for this. Okay, so ball pythons. They actually originated from Africa, but due to their popularity in the reptile keeping,
What is in your face? What is in your face? Oh no.
But yeah, so due to their wild popularity in the reptile keeping business, they are now widely captive bred, which is really good. They are rarely taken from the nature anymore, which is kind of the goal of the whole thing. When they get stressed, they go into this small ball kind of thing. They are rarely ever that aggressive. Of course, if you handle them wrong, they can get aggressive, but nothing more than a little ice cube can't fix. For example, I've had Frank for maybe 6 years now. Frank has never bitten, never. They sometimes do this kind of weird striking pose when I go and clean them or something, but that usually doesn't mean anything. And funny thing about the patterns, ball pythons are valued by how cool they look, so to say. The cooler the snake, or how rare it is, or how hard it is to breed, the more they will cost. So Frank here, Mr. Frank's morph name is Super Chocolate Pewter, which means that there is no balls, basically solid color for the spine, and then there is the light color for the insides. for the belly scales. Other than that, he's a solid boy. There is kind of this cool stripe going here on the back there, but yeah. So for Wanda, she's actually so-called lavender albino, which means that the dark pigment in her skin turns to yellow and her eyes turn into red, and that's the albino. And lavender means that the white parts of her scales have the hue of purple in them. The older she gets, more pronounced that hue is. And now for food. So ball pythons eat mostly
what is it called? Mice and rats.
The thing is, with a juvenile snake, you would want to feed them smaller mouse because they can't yet eat small rat because it's too big for them. But the larger they get, and for example, snakes like ball pythons, they get quite big, as you can see. So it is important at some point you will have to make the jump from mouse to a rat, because rats, they get much bigger, they have much better nutrients in them for snakes. And there is this kind of debate over if you have a really picky snake and what if you feed them like 2 big mouse instead of 1 rat, and that just doesn't work like that. They would much rather have this big rat with lots of nutrients than 2 smaller prey animals that don't carry that much nutrients. And also it's about the biology. If you put 2 things like this, it's much harder for them to digest them than a larger thing like this. That's basically about that. But how do they eat is a whole different thing. I'm just gonna say it right now. I only eat frozen thawed. I don't live feed, never, and that's just my opinion about that. And now for the problem areas. So hello. And now ball pythons have this really known problem to them. They are really easy to handle, they are quite docile, they are not aggressive, they are mostly good boys and girls, and due to the fact that they are so easy, they are usually recommended as beginner snakes or beginner reptiles even. I'm back here, I've lost him, but they do have this one problem, which is that they are notorious for going off feed. This can create some issues, as you might suspect. It is not at all rare that they do this. They do this periodically. They do this, if you want them to breed, you will have to make them fast. If they are going to shed, they will go off feed. If your husbandry is off, if your humidity is off, temperatures are off, they will most likely is that they will go off feed. And that can get really annoying for every party involved. So Frank once went for almost 1 year, I would want to say, like 8 months long fast, which was really fun, wasn't it, Frank? He actually didn't lose any weight, close to any weight. That was the thing that made me not be as concerned with him, because sometimes they will just do that. And then, like nothing nothing ever happened, he went right back. And Frank eats everything. He's like my garbage disposal. Frank is quite a big boy right now, and that's because Wanda doesn't eat and I don't want to waste it. And now about Wanda. At first, when the lady got Wanda, she was eating. She was eating small mice because she was a baby. And when the cat started attacking the terrarium, she stopped eating, and that went on for a good while before I eventually got her. And with me, she started eating mice, and that went on for a good while. She was eating really good, and then she started to gain a little weight. She was smaller than she is now, but she started to gain a weight, gain a little bit of length, and I started to wean her off the mice and started to integrate the rats in there, because I thought that she's actually a really good eater in a non-stressful environment with really picky snakes. You started with thawing out a rat and a mice together and then heating them together so that the scent will kind of transfer and the snake will learn to kind of like the scent of rats, and then you feed the mice for a while that has the scent of a rat in there. I don't know if I explained that at all well. I did that once, and I think Wanda ate one time the mouse that had the scent of rat, and she did just like a full 180. Excuse me. Full stop, nothing goes in, no, nothing. She just stopped eating altogether. Then I quickly dialed it down. I didn't try the rats anymore, I didn't try, and I took her off feed actually for a couple of weeks, and then I tried mice again. She would refuse it, and I was like, okay, she's rebelling. Come back here. Then I took her off feed for a couple of weeks and I tried again and she refused, and then I started to panic and I tried again after a couple of days, and again after a couple of days, and she would just refuse. I have tried different temperature. I have tried off feed for a long time, on feed for like trying to feed her every day. I have not handled her like almost at all since she went off feed because that really affects them. I am starting to little bit be worried because she has lost weight, even though I know that these snakes are notorious for refusing food, and even Frank has had long periods of time that he hasn't eaten anything. But when already really thin snake is losing even more weight, it is concerning for me. Yeah, that is never a good thing. Boy. So yeah, I just don't know what to do anymore, and she has had maybe one poop during this year and 2 sheds. She does do urites, so she does drink water, but it's just not good. I thought that we could dive into the internet for some more advice, because snakes are... The heck are you doing? Snakes are considered as exotics, which means that in a regular veterinarian clinic there is most likely not a professional who knows that much about snakes. And the one thing I really love about the exotics communities, for example for snakes and ball pythons, it's such a good and beautiful place where everyone helps each other, because to find a professional who actually knows about exotics, it can be really hard and it can cost a lot of money for remedies that you could do maybe at home even. I do have one exotics veterinarian in my pack bucket. If it comes to that, I will take my girl to her clinic, but before that I want to try everything in my power to make her eat here. And to be honest, I don't even know what the doctor could do there. Maybe force feed her. We will have to see if it comes to that. I hope that there is more remedies that we could maybe find on the internet that I haven't yet tried. So let's just go right in the interwebs.
Hello.
Are you seeing this? Maru! Hey! Yeah, she's still here. Mara, are you jealous? Are you jealous of the snakies getting all the attention? Oh.